Welcome. Today, we're deep diving into Optiv's Managed Detection Response Service. Our service is designed to provide you with both the platform and service to monitor and actively respond to threats within your environment. We'll start from the perspective of an employee's laptop, completely unaware their system is being compromised. Simultaneously, we'll see how the event unfolds within the Optiv MDR platform. You'll witness the real-time detection, analysis, and response actions taken by our expert analysts. This demo will give you a clear understanding of how Optiv MDR works to proactively protect your organization. In this scenario, a user's endpoint has been compromised. An attacker has gained access and is attempting to deploy tools, specifically Mimikatz. They're also leveraging defense evasion techniques to gain access to the user's credentials via LSAS dump, as well as exporting that information out of the thought-to-be secured environment for additional scripts. An Optiv analyst receives the alert in their dashboard, and immediately they assign the case to themselves and start to review the AI-generated summary. The analyst can easily see that this was detected by Sentinel-1, as well as artifacts that look to be suspicious, such as files, and read the proposed next steps. Everything we see here is generated by a generative AI and the integrations and configurations that Optiv has put in place. Here we can easily see key artifacts. Anything that is in blue is a link to a drill down for further investigation. We can see host names, hashes, known bad hashes are formatted in red text. And we can also see at a glance how impactful this is with the number of events, alerts, and entities observed. We can also see some recommended actions stating to start quarantining files. All of this is presented to an Optiv analyst in a very easy consume format. Let's dig a little bit further. Drilling into the specific alert around Mimikatz, we can easily see that this was detected by Sentinel-1 and that it was not mitigated, stating that this file is still live within the environment. At this point, we believe there's still to be an active attack, so let's see what else is going on. The analyst can immediately see some key insights. We can see that the last logged on user was John Wick. We can also see that he is part of the domain users Active Directory group, and that his title is an accounts receivable analyst. We typically would not expect to see an accounts receivable analyst interacting with PowerShell or Mimikatz. Looking at the entity highlights, which is a summary of all of the key details as part of the detection, we can see PowerShell is being used extensively and interacting with LSAS, which is risky. It looks like we have an IP address that PowerShell is interacting with. Let's explore more. With just a single button click, the analyst can now easily pivot into network logs, understanding connection attempts logged by our Palo Altos, confirming that we did have outbound connectivity to an address. Gemini also performs a small summary on these logs around what's common and what's uncommon. We can see that this resolves to GitHub and that VirusTotal has some native integration stating that at least one of the engine has flagged this IP address to be related with malicious activity. We can further drill into the VirusTotal context to see additional information. Let's go back to the primary case. I'd like to understand a little bit more around the user John Wick. We can easily see here some attributes related to him, as well as all of the entities that we've seen him related to. Host names, IP address. There's been some additional malware detections from Microsoft 365 Defender. This is telling us that it looks like he's been previously compromised in the past and is suspicious. Looking at the file hash here, highlighted in red, we can also see some additional information around a process called starthollow.ps1. We can see there's also been impact in other cases. And if we'd like to explore that from a log perspective, we can easily do that as well. In this case, the first time that this hash was seen was only 2 hours ago, and it was seen 10 minutes ago when this case started. We can also see that VirusTotal is stating that many more engines are detecting this to be malicious. At this point, we have high confidence in this user being compromised as well as the hosts that are being compromised. We can go further down to see additional attributes, additional integrations with virus total around other hashes seen within the environment. All of the related alerts that we've seen related to this user recently and their related events, as well as an entity graph that will help us understand what the user count has been interacting with, what hosts may be compromised, what are those endpoints that we're seeing him interact with, as well as, again, anything that is looked to be malicious. We can easily drill down into all of this as well to see additional insights. At this point, we have enough confidence in that this user has been compromised and we need to act. Going specifically into the Mimikatz event, you can see that a playbook is running. We can see that the playbook is asking the analyst a question. In this case, the first step of the playbook is to confirm that Optiv does have authorization from our client to perform remediation actions on their behalf. I've reviewed our ITSM platform and found that we do have this capability. We're now asked to see, do we have specific authorization on this host? We also do have permission here, so we'll click yes. We're now at the point to isolate the host from the network. So we'll respond to this and execute that host isolation. At this point, with the host now isolated from the network, we can take further steps to remediate the files, which will essentially eradicate that threat from the environment. You can see here, upon every successful execution, it's informing us that we can check the case wall. If I'd like to look from an audit perspective, I can drill into the case flow and understand all of the actions that are being taken, as well as what the status is. For this specific alert, there's no additional actions needed to be taken. We would escalate the case to the client, informing them that the threat has been eradicated, and with their permission, we would then reconnect that host to the environment. However, since in this case, we did see that the user was seen to be interacting with LSAS, we are concerned around their user account being compromised. At this point, we can also take actions on the user account. This is the user account that we've seen in question. While we do have automated playbooks to do this, if we do have something that is non-standard, we also have the ability to take actions. In this case, we're going to go into Active Directory, and we're going to go ahead and disable this user account. Now that the user is no longer to access any additional assets, we're also going to force a password update. At this point, the user is no longer able to access corporate assets, and their account is going to require a password update. We would also inform the client to inform the user that their account has been compromised and that they are going to need to reset their password through their corporate tooling. Now that the endpoint has been cleaned up, the account has been disabled, and a password reset, and that the user needs to work with their end employee, to speed things up, we'll now re-enable the account and connect the host back into the network. This case can now be closed. We will confirm this to be a malicious case. There was an external attack, and we'll also note in the case that we believe that this user's account was compromised. Mimikatz was found, the host was isolated, the malware was removed. The user account, John Wick, was also disabled. We forced a password reset, and we also contacted their security team, including information around that user and his manager. The account can now be re-enabled, and the user will be able to reset their password. At this point, Optiv would also likely perform a full scan of that endpoint prior to closing the case, which we also have the capability to automate. This is one playbook of many that our clients get to enjoy as being an Optiv MDR customer. Optiv's team of data engineers, detection engineers, threat analysts, hunters, and SOAR engineers will leverage best-in-breed technology and AI as part of the Google SecOps platform to help detect and respond to threats, stopping attackers in their tracks. We hope you enjoyed today's demo, and we hope you stay safe. For more information, please visit optiv.com/MDR.